Hello, Sunday school teachers. Today we're going to talk about how to tell a Bible story. And the first things first is we're going to prepare the Bible story. So take out your Bible, open up to the passage that the story is from, and read the passage for yourself. In order for God to speak through you, you need to let Him speak to you. So as you're reading, ask yourself, what is this passage about? Who is in it? What are they doing? Why are they doing it? And remember, when you're looking for characters and who it's about, look for God as a character too. What do I learn about? What do I learn about God and His plans, His heart for people, His character? What do I learn about myself and others? And then ask, what difference does it make? How does this change my beliefs or my thoughts or my actions today? And then you're going to read the story with children in mind. What is the main truth of this passage, and what is the one thing that I want them to remember? Often this main truth will be a truth about God, sometimes a truth about people. Then we're going to prepare the story, and as you prepare the story and write it out, you're going to repeat that main truth a few times. If you want the children to remember it, you need to repeat it. And you're going to write the story with the shortest attention span in mind. So if you have a group of 2-year-olds, you might only get 5 sentences out. If you have a group of 5-year-olds, you might be able to go for 5 minutes. But once you lose one, they get distracted, they start distracting others, and then you lose them all. So let's go for the shortest attention span, and let's help the children be as successful as they can in paying attention. You're going to write it out. You might write it out word for word, or you might just write it out for key points to jog your memory. If you have trouble knowing how to phrase it, you can look for other people's Bible stories. So I've included a list of sample Bible stories that you can look at for how you might phrase this and what are the key points you might want to hit on. Children's Bibles are also very helpful, but remember, the children's Bible and the way that other people word it are not God's true words. So go back always to the Bible and think, is this actually true, conveying what the Bible actually said, or am I starting to add other ideas in that are not coming from the Bible? Then you're going to practice telling the story. I had a friend who taught years of Sunday school, and before she told a story, she would practice in front of a bunch of teddy bears. She would just line them up and practice there. If you've got children that are the same age, or maybe a very patient husband or wife, you can practice telling the story in front of them. You can also practice telling the story in front of the mirror. The more comfortable you are with telling the story, the less you'll need to look at your paper, and the more you'll be able to keep eye contact with the children. As you tell the story, you want to use your imagination and get into the story yourself so that you can draw the children in too. You can use this using a quiet voice and quiet actions to build suspense. But as things get exciting, you can use a louder voice and bigger actions to build that excitement. You can get in with the emotions of the characters. So if there's a character who is sad, then you're going to use a sad voice and think about what it would feel like to feel that way. Or if you have a character that is excited, like when the women are telling the disciples, we went to the tomb and there's nobody in there, then you can use an excited voice. This, using your imagination as you tell and reliving what the characters are experiencing, this comes with practice. So practice telling the story and also be patient with yourself. The more you tell stories, the better you'll get at it. Use your pictures or props wisely. Pictures and props can help hold a child's attention and help them get a better understanding of the story, but they can also be distracting because the children will start to worry, oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to get a chance to see the picture. So you're going to have to figure out what works with your group. I always like to use pictures that are realistic. Children have a hard time sometimes knowing what is real and what is pretend. So I like to use realistic stories to portray the Bible stories so that the children remember that these stories are true and they're from the Bible. For the younger ones, I might use 3 or 4 pictures. For the older ones, I find pictures can be more distracting. So if I use pictures, I'll use maybe 1 or 2. How to tell the Bible story. You want the children to feel welcome and comfortable. So when they come in, you can greet each child by name and introduce yourself. Welcome, Amanda. It's good to have you here. I'm so glad to see you this week, David. If you have a trouble remembering names, then use name tags. You want to sit in a place where everybody feels like they're part of the group, including the teacher and the helper. You might sit in a whole circle together, or you might have the children sit in a semicircle with you at the middle of it so everybody can see you. But you want it to feel friendly, and you want to be able to make eye contact with every child. To help transition into the story, you might do a simple action and rhyme together. When the children say and do things, it really helps to grab their attention. So a very simple one that I use is we put our hands together like this in a book, and we just say, "The Holy Bible is God's book. Let's open it and see where He tells us of His love. He loves you and me." So that's a really good way to get the children, as they use the actions, they'll start to engage and bring their attention in. Then you want to start with a short, simple prayer. This is demonstrating how we talk to God, and it's going to be short, simple. Ask God to help you all listen and to discover God. So once again, if you get the children's actions involved, then it's going to help them pay attention. For really little children, so we're talking 2 to 5 years old, this one works really well. You go hands up, hands together, hands down, and then you pray. For children who are older, this comes from Zion Church. Shout out to my sister-in-law and my niece who are out there. They always like to do this. Hands out. Let's see if I can see my hands. And then we flip them over and then cross them over and tuck them up. And that gets all the children to transition into prayer and keeps them from distracting their neighbors. After you pray, set expectations. You might say, glue your bums down to the mat, hands and feet to ourselves. We're going to open our ears. We're going to zip up our mouths. This is my turn to talk and your turn to listen. We have something special to hear from the Bible today. One of our friends, if they're sitting cross-legged on the floor, I learned this from another teacher, she would say crisscross, so they cross their legs, crisscross applesauce, apples in the basket, so that they put their hands down in their lap. Then you're going to tell the story that you've prepared, and hopefully you're comfortable enough with that story so that you can make eye contact. If you have a child who is a little chatty during the story, this is a great time to say to them, I'd love to hear more about that at snack time. Now it's time to listen. You can sit next to a child who's distracted and put your hand on their shoulder. Whoever is telling the story, it's better if they keep telling the story and keep the children engaged. The helper can move to a distracted child and helps to redirect them. You can use a child's name in the story to help bring back their attention. You might say, and then Jonathan, the shepherd, saw the sky filled with angels. And as you show excitement in the story, you might lean forward and make eye contact with each child. They're going to show more interest in the story and stay engaged too. After you tell the story, then you can help the children say a Bible verse together. Once again, this is calling in the children's activity and participation and gives them a chance to speak God's true words. I'm going to make a separate video on some ideas on how to engage children in saying a Bible verse together. After all of that, then you're going to ask questions about the Bible story. We'll ask questions to reinforce the main truth of the Bible story so the children have a better chance to remember. And after all of that, we'll have a simple prayer, just thanking God for His word and for what we've been able to discover about Him today and helping us and ask Him to help us remember. So I hope that was some help. I'm going to make another video showing you an example of how I do all of this.